The statistics for parenting programs, we've just recently had responses from 1,725 people. 95% found it helpful. 85% felt that the attendance has a positive impact on the child. 70%, with 15 not sure, thought it would be better to do the course earlier on in the separation. 90% said they would recommend that program to someone in a similar situation. So the success of a parenting program to help parents move on and do the best for their children is very high. Just to let you know that I've worked with children and families since 1978 as a court welfare officer, now called CAFCAS officer, as a manager in that team, as a director at CAFCAS, as a trained mediator and a trained parenting program provider. So what I say is based on quite a lot of stuff that I've learned from families over that period. But one of the things that Andrew McFarlane says, and I've heard him speak many times, he's the president of the family division, says anything but the court. There's nothing wrong with the court, but they need to deal with cases where risk is an issue. They don't need to be dealing with, and both Mumby and McFarlane have said, there are about a third of cases that come to them where they could be resolved outside, never coming to court if parents, knew what was available to them and chose to use them. There are services available for parents to self-refer. They can go to contact centres, they can go to mediation, they can go to parenting programs. All of those things are flexible, responsive, and much less expensive than the family court. So that we could divert a whole group of people, probably, if there was the means to do it and people knew. So I think the first step, from my point of view, from listening to a lot of parents, is that the contact should get started, because one of the most vexed issues is about not seeing the children. Quite apart from the damage that's done to children of having such a long separation, if there's a court hearing pending, sometimes that can take 6 months to a year. And that's a terrible situation for a child. They become bereaved. It's like one day that they see that parent, the next day they don't. So I think the important thing is to try and get something from the child's point of view to have some contact with that parent. I think the second step, there should be referral to or opting for a parenting program to help parents who are in a terrible, state with each other, to look at communication, the effects of their conflicts on children, and how they can move on. The statistics for parenting programs, we've just recently had responses from 1,725 people. 95% found it helpful. 85% felt that the attendance has a positive impact on the child. 70%, with 15 not sure, thought it would be better to do the course earlier on in the separation. 90% said they would recommend that program to someone in a similar situation. So the success of a parenting program to help parents move on and do the best for their children is very high. Then the third step, I think, they could go into mediation to consolidate and put into practice the learning content of the parenting program. The mediation can then start to think about how parents can manage their situation in the future. Other jurisdictions do it. Australia has education for family law professionals, accessible and authoritative information, which I think, as Helen's alluded to, we're very, very short of in this country. Effective triage, which is about trying to divert people. Why can't the court, at the point if people have to go to court, make an application, triage them into these other services? They have service and intervention options. This is an Australian model, and they have ongoing support. A bit like in the old days, we used to have supervision orders. They've gone, but actually they worked very well to help parents through the melee that they were in. New Zealand and Australia and Norway Attending out-of-court dispute resolution is a mandatory step before court even look at the issues. British Columbia, they have a mandatory parenting program, free counselling and free mediation. So all of these other countries are kind of ahead of us in terms of being able to help parents to sometimes just not go to court, or to say, you can come to court, but you ought to do these things first, which would help to resolve some of the issue. So the changes needed, in my view, is that court do need to direct parents to some sort of a triage system, that this would save money and court time and a lot of hassle and conflict, because actually court, my experience is that court never satisfies any parent. They come out of court, they may have managed to score a point on the other parent, but court orders break down very quickly because children's lives are their lives. They want to do things on the days they should go to contact with that other parent. So they actually don't, they're not flexible. So children lose out, or there's conflict over what's happening to them. So according to Mumby and McFarlane, both who've been presidents of the family division, about 30% of cases could be diverted, don't need any of that conflict, and would certainly be much better for children. That's me.